We've talked a lot about Terry, and we'll talk about Terry, but you just heard Terry Boers call Mike North the heart and soul of the station. And that is some powerful stuff from a guy we're lionizing, deservedly so today. Mike North, welcome in. Thank you for being here. The heart and soul of the Score is what he called you. How does that feel to have a guy like Terry Boers refer to you that way, buddy?
Well, considering we hardly talked the first 3 months, Matt, because I came from a different land. Most of the station, and good to talk to you and good to be on the Score again. The station was made up of a lot of journalists, a lot of great ones, a lot of great talent. Terry crossed many roads. He was a radio guy. He did some radio. He did TV on Chevrolet Sports Fire and the sports writers in the 80s. I read his columns. So I believe, like I said it on a show that I do, and I honored Terry last night with it, was on the bar room, was, the first guy I saw when we had our first meeting was him. But I was in a room, and you got to remember this. I came from the hot dog stand, and I was in a room with the likes of Boers, McNeil. I didn't know Mike Greenberg yet, but George Hoffman. I mean, all established guys. And I was the guy that basically had to go out and prove himself. And I think the first couple of months, in fact, we were on for 3 months. And I remember we got a 0 in the Nielsen ratings. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that, but
sure you are. Sure,
yeah, we got a
Mike,
0.
Hey, Pappy, you can say whatever you want. Mike North is a Score original. He's an ESPN 1000 contributor. He is part of the Barroom Network, as he just mentioned. And yeah, you can say whatever the hell. I know the ratings were bad. I remember Chet Kopic's voicemail said, "Enjoy working at a deathbed." For McNeil, you guys always used to play. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll give you an example. Chet Kopic said I was a 10th-rate hot dog stand owner, a George Wendt impersonator, and that I basically said, well, wait, I was here before George Wendt, before anybody knew who he was. We all have a Chicago accent, and that's when I knew that we had something maybe good going. But when I saw Terry Boers in the meeting, I said, wow, But then after the first 3 months, we got a 0 in the ratings, and everybody was baffled. And Terry comes up to me, goes, "You believe we got a 0 in the ratings?" He asked me, "Do I believe it?" And I said, "No way." He goes, "What do you mean?" "I'm out 4 nights a week. I can't buy a drink." I mean, there's people telling me they're listening in their cars all day, and so it doesn't make any sense. And then they went down to Nielsen, Harvey Wells, I remember, and a couple of the Score management guys went down to Baltimore, and the Nielsen, as we found out, they messed up. They had us rated for a 24-hour station. So I never believed in the Nielsen book. Anyway, we made a ton of money. I had my dream job. I got to work with some great people, including Terry Boers, who, everybody always says, your show was great or that show was great. All 3 shows did something. I tell Mark Chernoff from WFAN back in the day, the Fan was a one-trick pony. He had Mike and the Mad Dog. You had Imus in the morning. I said, we had Tom Scher. We started with sports. We ended with sports. But nobody predicted that, and most people wanted us to die, including a lot of the newspapers, which I held against them my whole career because I didn't care what happened to them after they didn't care what happened to us. I always cared about the station first, and I took umbrage to people thinking I couldn't make it, or Terry couldn't make it, or McNeil couldn't make it, or Jiggetts couldn't make it.
You guys were united in that, right? See, that's the thing. Like, I remember very clearly the 3 different mindsets of 3 different shows, but you guys had to be together in those transitions. I mean, like there was nothing like it. You and Jigs would have been working all day already. And then you got to deal with McNeil and Boers coming in there just raring to go and coming at you with full energy. And you had to rise up and meet Terry's energy and Terry's comedy, didn't you?
Well, there's no doubt. A lot of it would be that they'd be listening to the show, and the transition would transpire with something that pissed one of them off, but not Terry too much, Danny. But Terry was in the room, and we'd go back and forth. And but the thing about us was there was no hard feelings afterwards.
Yeah.
The next day we'd see each other, and the next day we see. I mean, I worked with Terry for 16 years, and I'd see him after after I'd get off the air, and they'd walk into the kitchen after one of our transitions. And there were some brutal ones. That's why people loved them. It was real. It wasn't scripted. We didn't know what they were going to talk about. We had to think on our feet. So the transitions were absolutely marvelous. They still are. I'm proud of them. A lot of stations do them now.
Did you guys fight? Did you guys, like, did any of those scars linger or no?
Inside, maybe. Inside, I think, with all of us at times. But then you just moved on. But there's no doubt there were zingers thrown at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Jigs threw them. I threw them. Mac threw them. Terry, not so much. Terry and I always had our own lanes. We never had a problem. Ever had a problem. But yeah, there was fights at the score. Judge Surratt and Jesse Rogers over guests, nose to nose. Gleason, we fought with him. I heard you.
Go ahead, Pap.
I heard you talking about the show meetings.
Yeah.
And they tried to do the show meetings, and we absolutely did not want those. We said, no, we're on the street corner. Nobody has a script when they get to the street corner or to the bar.
So I gotta know if your partner was always okay with that. And I want to hear Dan Jiggetts talk about Terry Boers. Jigs is with us. Man, I got so much love for the both of you guys. It is unbelievable. As a young intern, I needed money sometimes. I needed help sometimes. I didn't know I needed pants sometimes and a belt. Jigs, I still have a belt that you gave me one day. But like, you both were so loving and helpful to me and to a lot of others in ways that people have talked about Terry. Like there was a kindness and a generosity underneath Terry that was there. You knew it, right, Jigs? You I'm sure you could have felt that with Terry at the time.
Oh yeah, Terry had that gruff exterior, but underneath, there was a very caring soul. And I tell you, the one thing about him was that when you just, kind of had your separate conversations and whatnot, we thought about a lot of different things. We talked about a lot of different things, and I think that people will be stunned to understand the sensitivity that he had to a lot of different issues. He will be dearly missed, man. He was a great, a great compatriot in our battle to test the score wars.
Tell me more about that sensitivity, Jigs, because like Terry was wise and well read, and he fought against injustice. So you felt some of that? Oh,
absolutely. And I mean, in part of the time when you're having conversations with people, and you can understand, you get a great feeling for where they're coming from. And with Terry, you always had that feeling that that he understood the struggles that people go through in their day in and day out lives. Mm-hmm. But he suffered no fools too. That was the other thing about Terry was, if you're a knucklehead, he was going to let you know about it. And sometimes people didn't like that very much, but that's the way it goes, as the coach would say.
Yeah, Jigs, it's good to talk to you, my friend. And we had a great run. I still think about it. I said the other day, I look at the picture when they brought us down to, I don't know if it was Logan Square, Uptown. They said, we're going to have you guys all take a picture together. And then they passed out some judges' robes. And, and every one of us said, you've taken 100 pictures, Yeah. Can we get out of here? But you're right. And the transitions, like I said, Dan, we used to get pissed at them and they would get pissed at us.
Oh, yeah.
But then afterwards, the next day we come back to work, because I think what you brought up earlier, Matt, is Jigs and Dan, I think, was disrespected. I always said that with TV. I thought he should have been given promotions. Dan had been working at banks. Dan was raising a family. Okay. I was the hot dog guy. So there were people taking shots at both of us for whatever reason you want to talk to. And maybe we were the reason they wanted to give us a chance. But I always said this, Dan, no matter what, we were brothers, dysfunctional as it may seem, because we didn't want to lose.
That's right. It was always the kind of thing where, particularly, I guess you saw it a lot when we went on remotes, like, be at the Super Bowl or something like that. Mm-hmm. Everybody was competitive. Everybody wanted to get the best guest and all the rest of that. But the objective always was, to work as a team. And I think a large part of that came from the fact that nobody gave us a chance when we first started out. And everybody kind of doubted whether or not this experiment would work. Well, here we are 30-some years later, and it's still ongoing and still prospering. But I think that sense of teamwork was something that really brought us all together. And goodness knows there were a lot of good times. And yeah, those transitions were sometimes brutal. And sometimes I can remember Ron Gleason coming in and, it's time to shut it down.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep rolling on this one.
Yeah,
I got it. Hey, man,
afterwards we kind of get a kick out of it.
There were a lot of days when anybody who ever cut the open, and I as a producer used to cut the open for McNeil and Boers and tried to make it great. Chris Tannehill makes it better than any of us could have ever dreamed. But I loved that you guys went long. You were supposed to be out at 2:10, and you were usually out about 2:21, 2:22, and there'd be times I wasn't finished until 17. I'm like, I know that it'll be fine. Those guys will be fine. And I'd come running in, and one of you would say, "Coach," and I still want to end transition like that. We were just talking about it the other day. But like Dan Jiggetts and Mike North both here with us as we're talking about Terry Boers. Jigs, you played. You were a Harvard-educated, former Chicago Bear, classy, professional individual with TV pedigree. You were, in a lot of ways, you were the one that didn't belong, but like Boers was the one, as a writer, like, did you guys mesh? Did you guys have some respect for each other, even though you played and he was just an ink-stained wretch in his terms?
Oh, sure. No, it was never about, you played and you didn't play, that kind of thing. It was about your thoughts. And that's what I think we should always kind of zero back on. And the other thing was too, and let us not forget in all of this, the fact that the other group that we don't often talk about were the listeners, and the people that will call in and really kind of help make the shows. And I don't know, again, in this day and age, whether or not that's still a piece of the puzzle. But that's what made it so much fun, I think, for us, Mike. And I'm not going to speak for you, but I know for me, every now and then you get, somebody go a little off the rails, but that's okay. That was part of what we did.
Well, what's funny is that when Matt said between you two guys who didn't belong, believe me, when I walked in and go, "How you doing, everybody?" I was one of them that didn't belong. I think we had here. I could put it this way: we became. First of all, I said this throughout my career. Dan Jiggetts is the best straight man and the best information man you'll ever see. We all had our different talents. Terry, who was as funny as anybody at the station. None of us would have made it without the other shows. I mean, just think about it. You go from Cher to the Monsters to two other great shows, and then to the Heavy Fuel Crew. We were, think about this, a 10-acre lumberyard across the street from Home Depot, and we won.
Yeah,
that's what we did. We took on. We were 12-8. We were 12-8 10-hour station. I mean, Murph would come on for 10 minutes. Hi, everybody. Bye, everybody.
He did.
He
did.
He'd always have his roll of tapes that he'd bring with him.
The bag was bursting. He said the bag was bursting, and he had sometimes a 10-minute show, literally a 15-minute show. Oh, I got an hour and 10 minutes today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to say it's good to see Dan again. And Dan, I talked to Dan after the draft, and I know that we still like to stick to our guns, but just for instance, I said, Dan, how did we pass up Tyler Warren? Mm-hmm. And then, Tyler Warren has 77 catches, but then you get Colston Loveland now, who looks like the real deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'd like to say I hope everything works out, because this would have been one of the years, it would have been one of our happier years, because there was a lot of down years back when we were on the air. And I always say this, Dan, I don't know if you agree, in the 90s, the Bulls were the best franchise in Chicago, and the Score was the second best, and we laid a great foundation where you got all these wonderful guys who still are there from when they were producers and everything else, like Lawrence Holmes. I just talked to Jason Goff. I'm talking to Spiegs, who was outstanding. So I think that's what.
And let's not forget about little Jesse Rogers.
Well, him and Judge Surratt. I mean,
I was going to talk about Judge.
Go ahead, you bring it up, because Speak said, "Well, was there fights in the hallway?" Right?
With Judd though, I would always walk into the studio after our show was over and we had the transition and all the rest of that, and each day we would walk in and I'd always give him a shot and he'd give me a shot. Yeah, and that was our little routine.
Yeah, well,
choice words for each other.
You know what's great? The hirings that were made to go out and get a Terry Boers, to go out and get a Dan Jiggetts. to find this goofy hot dog stand guy, to give Dan McNeil. But to me, the producers that we had, I look at work ethic and I see, I mean, back in the day, you know, producers want to get on the air right away. Jesse Rogers, who's on the air now, didn't get on for 7 years.
Yeah, and he does a great job now too.
Oh,
I tell you, it was the kind of thing where, you know, you were so reliant on those guys. You give them some numbers and whatnot, give them some ideas, but they go out and make the run and make it happen. And I think that so often, you know, those guys got kind of forgotten about. But you know, you're exactly right. And boy, you look at Judd and the success that he's had too, as well as Jesse.
Judd
it makes me so proud to see them now. You know,
I was watching the Bruins the other night. I'm watching the Boston Bruins because I'm sick and I had a bet on the game. Okay?
You had to be sick to be watching that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Intermission. Judd Surratt.
There he is.
TV.
Yeah.
Mike. Look.
Here's
Mike,
the best part, Mike. You didn't need a microphone. You didn't need a headphone to hear him. You could hear him all the way from Boston, right?
Well,
and the rug's a little thin, Jigs. The rug's a little thin for Judd now.
Yeah.
But Mike Greenberg.
Yeah, Mike
Judd
Greenberg's
Surratt,
coming up.
Look at these hires.
You're
Jesse
exactly
Rogers.
right. Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
You go back to Danny and Seth and the difference those guys made. Harvey, we had a great group of people, you know, leading us, if you will. And they put together one hell of a program.
Yeah, they did. Hey, guys, you know, this is amazing stuff because Terry's the first of the Score originals to pass in terms of on the air, which is really sad, but kind of amazing to think about. And as you're talking about, and the whole mix is what we've always credited. So I'm glad you guys are having a chance, people, to hear you and hear your chemistry and think about it because it was really the whole mix. But there were so many of us who had a chance to listen or maybe a chance to work there if you're lucky. But like either way, we all wanted to aspire to that. But to bring it back to Terry, did you guys see him grow? You see him grow, and for the host that he became is just remarkable, isn't it? Talk about him with that.
Right, Jigs? Night and day from when he first started. Night and day.
And you know, and I think that when Mike said that, you know, each one of us brought something different to the table. I think that one of the things that Terry brought was that, you know, that press box experience, if you will, being a sports writer and understanding that there's a deeper story behind, you know, what you see right on the face of something. And that, I think, is something that sometimes maybe we don't appreciate as much as we should. But, you know, those guys spend a ton of time in locker rooms and clubhouses, listening to the stories, listening to the players respond, and really delving into what's really behind what they're saying. And I think that was a large part of what he brought to the table as well as the Terry Boers Hollywood stories, the true Hollywood stories.
I used to do that to Terry all the time. You know, I really respect what Terry did because the thing I think impressed me the most about Terry is so many times now you'll hear journalists now get talk radio jobs and they talk like they wrote. Okay. Yeah. Terry Boers did not talk like he wrote. He was a witty guy. It's hard to make people laugh. Writing a column. Me and Dan wrote them for the Sun-Times and the Daily Herald. But then to make the transition, I think he is one of the guys responsible for opening it up for the Mariottis of the world, the Woody Pages, the Wilbons, the Kornheisers, because Terry proved you can be a journalist, you know. I got the degree, but you can also get in the muck, hang on the street corner, and get it done.
That's beautiful, guys. I think you're absolutely right. And I love that Jiggs is talking about the journalistic mindset and how it underpinned everything. And Pappy immediately goes, yee. That's it. That's it. That's the whole package right there.
We made fun of each other. They talked about my accent, my clothes.
Yep.
You have an accent, Mike?
Huh? Yeah. Well, I didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying, Dan? So, and by the way, it's good to see you. Dan's got grandkids now, cute as buttons, for God's sake. The family's still doing good. But talking about the original to go, I just saw something on X. I think you guys, if you take a look, the 4 surviving members of MASH got together. Alan Alda's 90. Gary Berghoff is in that age, Jamie
Farr, yeah,
and then Alda's partner Mike Farrell. They all got together. One's 86, 2 are 90. I think that Terry Boers, I was told at a party, I was at a party, a family party, and Mitch Rosen texted me, and I don't care. I don't care if you see the guy once a year or not. Dan may not see a lot of his old teammates that he played with, but when you see somebody you started with pass away who was a teammate of yours, it hit me different, man. It really did.
Yeah, it's very tough, but I think that, looking back and knowing Terry and as much as, I could, throughout all those years, I think he would want us to, number one, have a good laugh.
Oh,
have
yeah.
a good talk about him, have a great cigar, and sit back and
a cup of coffee.
And a cup of coffee and talk about the good time. That's right.
Oh, Jigs, when we'd go afterwards into the after our show and go into the kitchen, Julie Swiker would be there, Jesse would be there, maybe Judd would run in, Danny Lee is there, just like 8-9 people, and then Terry would come in every 15 minutes.
Yeah, circle.
And if we would have taped those.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, so much love for the both of you. The listeners love hearing you. I love getting a chance to see you and talk to you, and it's wonderful that you guys took some time out to talk about Terry.
Hey, and also, let us remember too, to say to his family,
Carol,
how much we miss him.
Yeah, Carol, the 4 kids, and the whole family, man.
God bless you, Terry.
All right.
Take it easy, Jan.
Be good, Mike.
All right, buddy.
All right,
Take care, Speaks.
All right, we'll see you guys. That's Jiggetts and North. Unbelievable.